you not to miss out on life because you are living it right now. For a long time in my life, I did not understand the Christian faith. I thought the goal of my faith was to get it right. I had to get my beliefs right, my doctrine right, and my life right so I could be saved. And somewhere along the way, I realized that for me, this would be impossible. Because I have too many questions. I have too many imperfections. I have too many weaknesses. And we've all been in that place where we realize we can't do it. And if only we could understand that that is a good place to be. The problem is what came next for me and what comes next for a lot of people. When I had this truthful, healthy realization, I didn't know it was a healthy thing to think. And I thought, oh, there's something wrong with me. Because everyone in my church seemed to have it all together. They seemed like they had it all figured out. And I thought, I must be the only one who struggles with the things I struggle with and the weaknesses that I have. And so I guess what I have to do is pretend. If I was to put a positive spin on this, I had decided to fake it till I make it. Have you guys ever heard that phrase? If I wanted to put a negative spin on it, I could say I was putting on a religious show of righteousness. And as I got a little older, I realized, finally, it wasn't just me. Everyone had questions. Everyone made mistakes. Everyone was messed up. Everyone did stupid stuff. And this moment right here is when a lot of people walk away from church, from God, from faith. Because they get to this point and they decide, oh, church is just a bunch of people who are pretending to be more righteous than they are. In other words, it's a bunch of phonies. But there was this verse in Romans 7 that changed everything for me, that helped me understand. And Paul wrote in this amazing chapter something which, to me, summarizes the whole chapter. It's not in our lectionary, so I won't read the whole thing. But he said in this one phrase, "My strength is made perfect in weakness." Or God's strength in me is made perfect in weakness. And this is the secret to faith. And it's really the secret to life. The point is not, everyone repeat after me, the point is not to have it all figured out, to have it all together, because we can't, and we won't. I never will. Don't get me wrong. I think I have nothing against trying to figure it out. I have nothing against trying to get it right. In fact, these are the disciplines there are these disciplines handed down to us from our ancestors in the faith. They handed down fasting to us. They handed down this cycle of morning and evening prayer and noonday prayer and compline that we have. They handed down silence. They handed down scripture. They handed down teachings to us and practices of loving and serving our neighbor. And the older I get and the more I learn and the more I try to, let's say, fast, for example, the more I realize I am really terrible at it. And the more I try to find God in silence, the more I realize, boy, I am very easily distracted. And the more I try to, you fill in the blank. The more I read Scripture, the more I realize how much I don't know. In other words, the more I practice these disciplines, the weaker I feel. And that's the point. You see, if the gospel of Jesus Christ was that you have to figure it out and you have to get it all right, then that would not be good news. Because none of us can do it. But Jesus did. If you're watching this right now online, that makes me feel like Joel Osteen. If you're watching this right now online, and you're sitting at home thinking, man, I wish I could come to church. Well, you can. If you're thinking just listening to Tom's sermon each week is good enough, it is not. If you're sitting there thinking, boy, I wish I had it all together like Father Tom, well, then you are in luck. Because if God's strength is made perfect in weakness, I am a power plant. Because I have lots of weakness. Here's the point. Jesus cannot use us until we realize we can't do it on our own. We can't do it on our own. It wouldn't be called faith if you had to have all the answers to find it. So why in the world am I talking about this on Advent? Because Advent is a liturgical reminder every year that we get that this is the way the world works as well. Not just our lives, but the world. And our gospel reading points this out for us. N.T. Wright is describing the scene in our gospel reading, and he writes, imagine it's January AD 69. And you are one of the few Greek-speaking Christians living in a Roman town in Turkey. And you've been hearing the news. Roman armies have laid siege to Jerusalem. The people of Jerusalem are facing starvation. And Rome has now confirmed that Nero is dead, the emperor, and he's committed suicide. And there was a Roman general from the provinces who claimed to be in charge, and now they're confirming reports that he is dead. And so all these other generals are jockeying for position, trying to be the next Roman emperor, and the empire is facing civil war. Multiple armies, multiple leaders, multiple political perspectives. Everything in your world is about to come crashing down. The one good thing about the Roman Empire was that it was stable. And now it's not. Everything in your life seems on the verge of collapse. Welcome to Advent. Judgment, terror, cosmic signs of the end. And as we heard in today's gospel, people will faint from fear and foreboding of what's coming upon the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. What a strange way to prepare our hearts for the birth of Jesus. Instead of angels in the field, we hear of Jerusalem surrounded by armies bringing desolation. And we begin this season by talking about fear and foreboding and judgment because Advent invites us to see the world for the way it really is. Because before Jesus can use us, we have to admit we can't do it on our own. We need times like Advent. Because we will spend much of our lives waiting for things to get better. And Jesus is inviting us in the midst of that not to miss out on life, because you are living it. For things to turn the corner, we need to learn how to wait well. We need to learn to wait, and that is a discipline that is rooted in reality. It is so hard to find hope. And many of us try to fill the voids in our hearts with stuff, with food, with drink. And Jesus tells us in our gospel that won't work. He says, be on your guard and be not weighed down by dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of this life. In other words, he's saying a hangover is not going to help you get through this. None of these coping strategies will fix the pain and empty places in our hearts, because eventually we have to face our real problems. Here's the good news. At Advent, we prepare for the one who came to walk through it with us.